Hello stampers and scrappers out there in craft land. Suzanne here today in the studio to show you close to my heart's Daisy Meadow paper line. We're going to be making 3 double layouts and numerous cards from the Daisy Meadows paper line using the paper pack with sticker sheet, the coordinating cardstock, and the Daisy Meadow dots. These will be different layouts than you will see in the Daisy Meadows Scrapbooking Workshop Kit. Shall we get right to it? Here is the first layout. This is pretty straightforward. Mr. Bunny there with his dapper bow tie, his little brother over here hiding in the flowers. Just a really, really cute Easter page. For the second double spread, the technique highlighted here was to use the stamps to embellish your background paper. I did it on both layers, the white and the blossom. Also, you will notice this title block here, as well as 2 smaller blocks, have been embellished using the Close to My Heart's Stitched Rectangles dies. These are very handy. Each die not only cuts the rectangle, but also cuts a separate frame to go around it if you like. The stamps you see here are from the Coordinating Daisy Meadows Scrapbooking Stamp Set. Those come with thin cuts as well. You'll see even more of these used on the next layout. I might want to mention here, this layout was originally designed to have 4 square photos here, but I knew I didn't, even on a pop dot, I didn't want to deal with a round sticker in the middle of 4 photos, so I decided to shift mine down to the lower left hand corner. Nice, don't you think? And for the third layout, a totally different tone and emotion, I think, is evoked by these. Instead of using a peach background to tie them more closely to those Easter pages, I used the mink. In addition, I added lots of stamped and watercolor flowers. In a separate segment, I will show you how I watercolored those. Also, while I had the watercolors out, I added a little color to some wooden veneer butterflies I had from my stash. You'll also notice this sticker here had been scalloped before, but in order to make it tie in better with my title block, I cut the scallops off and went strictly rectangular. That's a very nice layout, don't you think? Love the enamel dots as well. Okay, let me bring in my supplies and show you how to watercolor some of those flowers. I'm going to be using a couple of things. First, Close to My Heart's watercolor pencils. I have those there. Isn't this this is the tool caddy. I keep this little bowl that I'm going to put water in. I actually keep it in here sideways when I'm not using this, so that everything I need there is together. I've pulled 5 colors here that I think we're going to use. The apricot pink, bloom pink rather, turquoise, mustard yellow, and elephant gray. So I've got those here on the side. Alrighty. I'm taking my inspiration from that sticker that was on the sticker sheet, and as you can see, they've mostly gone in white, left the flower white with a little bit of gray, and then some pink and peach and yellow in the middle. So here's what the look that I'm kind of going for. Again, it's white instead of gray. I've added a little of the peachy yellow around the flower. I've made the berries yellow, and then I've done the leaves in sort of a turquoise color. So let's play around with that. Okay, so starting with the yellow in the middle, I'm just gonna color just a little bit, and then I'm gonna go pink. And again, I'm not making sure it's real solid because I'm going to use watercolor on this, so this color is all going to kind of blur. So it doesn't need, every little white space doesn't need to be filled. Okay, and then in peach, like they did, I'm just going around some of the edges. Need to remember that Mother Nature doesn't make every leaf absolutely perfect. Wind and weather get to them, so I just want to give enough color that this is going to blend with the other colors on the page. If you'd like to fill in yours and get very, very, very colorful flowers, more power to you. That's not the look I'm going for. I am going to want quite a bit more color on the leaves, I think. Here I'm using this lighter green, sort of a minty color, but you could also go with the darker green. There's, you know, several different colors here, but this is the one I've decided I wanted to play up, like they have here. Okay, and then because I don't want that to be too bright, I'm actually going to go in with a little bit of that gray just around where the seam, probably not the right word for it when it's a leaf, and add a little gray. Okay, then I'm going to take my brush, and you get a brush in with the, show you here, this is how I was taught. You dip it and then you squeeze it. So let's just bring this over here. Okay, and you want to move quickly on this because you don't want this is not watercolor paper, so you do not want to saturate it. You just want to move quickly. And again, you're moving very quickly. Okay. Then if you want to go back and hit any spots that you didn't think blended quite as well. And then I forgot to do the yellow berries, so let me do those real quick on here. Now another thing that I often do is if I want a little more color while it's still wet, I can go back in there and I can boost up the yellow and not actually have to go back with the brush. All right. Did I get a similar look there? Yes. Do I want to be picky about a few little pencil strokes I can see? Again, you don't want to oversaturate the paper. This is not watercolor paper, and I've just used black ink, so if you think it's too wet at any time, you can dab it with a paper towel, or I could have just flipped it over on my paper. Okay, there's one way. I want to show you another way that you could do this. Is, I'm sure you might already know this trick, but oops, I didn't have this particular, I'm using the Glacier ink here, and I want to show you how. Here's my brand new stamp pad. Isn't that nice? Okay, if I want to get just a little bit of ink in it, if I just push a couple of times real hard in the center, looky there. I have now ink on there that I can use to pick up with a brush or a water brush if you happen to have a water brush. Whoops. There's always stuff sticking to stuff, other stuff. Have you noticed that in my studio? So here, let me use a water brush. And I'm going to pick up this color And I am going to watercolor with that. That is certainly the way to make sure you get the better color coordination, but I also find this, I'm not as practiced at this technique, I find this a little bit harder to control the color. And I also find that a water brush, I feel like it adds quite a bit more water to the paper. But I did want to show you that. See, I'm not really as pleased with that. But again, with practice, you know, my first time of doing this in a while, I have done this before, but it was quite a while ago. Let me try, if I try up the center first where I want the darkest color, and then if I just pull out from there, if that gives a better effect. Yeah, but I still want a little more color than that on my leaves. See, I just think it's much harder to, on watercolor, this would flow around the paper better than it does on cardstock. But then, if you just want that sort of eclectic look, show you up close the comparison between the two. See, this is a much more uniform look than this one here. Okay, that's that part of it. Let's move on. Then I started with 3 card designs, but then I just kept going. Let me show you some of those. Here is the first, Happy Easter. This little bunny is not a current stamp set. He is from the 2017 Easter Bunny set that goes along with the Cricut cartridge called Artistry. That's the reason I've still held on to it. But I bet you have a cute bunny in your stash that you could use for the same purpose. There we go again. This time I did some background stamping. If you can see that close up. Use the banners to the side and a couple of enamel dots for emphasis. Here's the next one. Similar, although I've switched out the papers a little bit, and I've added 3 different color enamel dots there in the corner. Again, I've only colored certain elements. Here, the eggs and his or her little shirt. After my stamping, I had some leftover die-cut stamped images, so I used them for this card. And I put my sentiment in an oval so that it would go nicely with the eggs on the pattern paper. Next up, this cute little guy here is holding a heart. That's popped up on a pop dot, as well as these flowers here, and a simple happy spring for the sentiment. Next, more of those watercolored flowers I told you about. This has a little shimmer mist in the middle to go with the gold glitter gems. And to let you know I'm thinking of you as the sentiment, and that comes from the current set called Just a Note. Just a Note has 4 other sentiments: to say hello, to tell you thank you, to say I love you, and then of course the one I use, to let you know I'm thinking of you. Just $7.95 in the current catalog. A very versatile set. Here's some more stickers being used, along with a stamped sentiment. And then I just found a floral embossing folder from my stash and used the peach to pick up the peach on the inside of the flowers. And again, I've offset the sentiment. You don't always have to center your sentiments. You don't always have to have something peeking out from both sides. Here again, I tried to do something a little different with the sentiment. It looks just stamped, but then I found a little X sticker and I used a little glitter gem there. So I have Happy Easter XO. Isn't that cute? Along with a flower and a little cluster of Easter eggs. Then we have this note card. I took the Just a Note set and I actually masked off the Just, so it says a note to let you know I'm thinking of you. And here we have 2 stamped images down at the bottom. Don't those look great? I really like those on the white background. It has a way of grounding the card. And then I did it again, and this time I added grass under the flowers, because the grass was in my bunny stamp set, and I actually did it twice to get some nice full grass under there. So whether you add grass or not, I do like that look. Okay, well, that is all I have to show you today. If you are interested in the cutting directions and my notes for how to make these layouts, go to my blog, SuzanneStampsAndScraps.blogspot.com. It'll be linked in the show notes. And there you can email me to get the directions and also see photos of the layouts and the cards. I really, really do thank you for your time and attention today. Bye for a bit.